Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today bringing you a Bethesda Game Studios discussion video. Another week, another discussion video. As you all know, I like to talk about Bethesda everything in this series, whether it's Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Bethesda published games, what have you. But today we're going to be talking about the big studio itself, Bethesda Game Studios, and the potential of a brand new IP coming from them. Now don't worry, I have a Fallout focused discussion video coming out later this week, so you guys can get your fix on that later on. But anyway, back to the potential of a brand new IP from Bethesda Game Studios. Now, this discussion spawned from the fact that obviously Bethesda Game Studios very recently has expanded with a Montreal office, adding about 40 to 50 people to their studio, and it got people thinking if there would be a brand new IP created by Bethesda Game Studios. Now, the reason for this is because we have Elder Scrolls Online, which, whether you want to admit it or not, does have a bit of a population to it where there are still players coming onto that game, and there is still support for Elder Scrolls Online, meaning that it would, don't want to say senseless, but it would be almost a shooting another business in the head kind of move to make Elder Scrolls 6, because you would essentially kill all the investment and all the time you put into Elder Scrolls Online. Now, I know we the gamers don't care about that, but as a business, ZeniMax Online and Bethesda probably don't think that's in their best interest to literally shoot one of their businesses in the head, especially when it's currently struggling now. It'd be kind of silly to kill it off fully by saying, hey, here's Elder Scrolls 6, because I know for a fact that you and I both would probably drop ESO and start playing Elder Scrolls, or start waiting rather for Elder Scrolls 6 instead. And so, with that said, that means that we have Fallout, which we just got a fix for recently, leaving that there's that kind of space in between now where perhaps Bethesda could expand for another new IP. Now, although I think it would be a little too much work in that they'd have to hand off one of their one of their current IPs rather to another company, that's a discussion for another day. But let's talk about the potential of a new IP and what that could be. And so I took that to Twitter and was like, hey guys, what do you think would be a good brand new IP for Bethesda? Where would you want it to be set? When would you want it to be set? What kind of game would it be? Just hit me with it. And there was actually quite a bit of consistency in a lot of the responses that I'm going to be showing you guys. And while I saw some interesting ones like a Wild West RPG or one with dinosaurs, you saw some really interesting responses, but the most common one was a sci-fi space exploration, create your own ship kind of thing, free roam these planets yourself, have Bethesda make multiple open worlds instead of one, almost akin to Mass Effect in a sense, except with way more freedom in that Bethesda flavor. And that was the most common one. A good comparison would be like Star Wars, but like I said, Mass Effect as well, where you kind of create your own universe as the developer and let the player kind of get lost in this awesomely created developer universe on how they imagine sci-fi, space, and time and all that stuff. And I thought that'd be kind of interesting because, as I just mentioned, every developer seems to have their own flavor to their game, where when you play it, you're like, this has a Bethesda Game Studios feel, this has the DICE feel, for example, something like that. You can kind of tell when a developer makes it based off the engine, the work on the game, the little nods here and there, stuff like that. And Bethesda Game Studios always prides themselves on their freedom of choice and player discovery and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, how absolutely awesome it would be to get lost in a brand new universe created by Bethesda. And when I say universe, I mean quite literally like a universe. I know a lot of some people call game worlds universes. No, I'm talking about a straight up universe of worlds upon worlds, getting lost in all of these, just discovering things, because we get plopped into one area and we're like, this is interesting, and we kind of explore the entire Bethesda Game Studios map and go on from there. But to have like multiple planets that have all these different aesthetics and feels to them, to make almost open levels in a sense, but you can travel between space and go from planet to planet and discover all these big open levels instead of a open world. It's a big game, but these open levels are huge and they're free to explore, and there's lots of hidden goodies in there and interesting quests and alien races and people and problems to solve and stuff. And I just thought to myself that that would be awesome. And now I know that may sound familiar because, as I've mentioned in this video, a great comparison is obviously Mass Effect. And I know some people don't like the idea of Mass Effect because they think of the conversation tree and the ending of Mass Effect 3 that really seemed to rub people the wrong way. But I'm just talking in the sense of the space, the universe, being in those worlds rather. And I think that would be cool for Bethesda to work in. And I think based off the suggestions, a lot of people want Bethesda to do that. And I would totally support them in that, to do something new. Although I think it's a bit too soon, because I still think that there's always going to be a ton of demand for your Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and that you can't any more longer, leave them dormant for too long because there is just such a demand for them. I do think that if they decide to do a brand new IP, that maybe space exploration would be something cool. It seems the fans of Bethesda Game Studios tend to agree with that statement. There were some interesting ones in there as well, people suggesting that Bethesda go for a more story-driven game, kind of like BioShock Infinite, in the sense where you're put in these levels and it's just all about the story and the narrative, and so they can work on their storytelling, try to do something a lot different than what they normally do. But I know Bethesda has insisted that they are an open world game. They like to build worlds, not these crazy, linear focused games. And I respect that. I like getting lost in a world, not just a tiny level, but a big open level. I think of like, if you want to, when I mentioned the open levels earlier, you think of like Dishonored, where there's tons of buildings to enter, tons of ways to get around, but obviously a lot bigger than that, a lot more Bethesda in the sense, a lot more secrets and quests and all that stuff. You get where I'm going with that. If you kind of did that, I think that would be awesome. I think that would be a cool fit. But that's kind of just me expanding on one idea. I want to really see an awesome discussion down below, because I can really see a lot of good ideas surfacing from the comments and seeing you guys kind of discussing what these potential new IPs could be. Because to tell you the truth, as I probably should have stated earlier, because there's probably someone who's yelling at me in the comments right now, it could quite literally be anything, almost anything. And I know space and exploration has been done to death. We have, as I've mentioned multiple times, Mass Effect. We have upcoming No Man's Sky. I get it. But with that said, I thought that, like I said, Bethesda doesn't shy away from a challenge, that they like to do their own thing. And if space exploration seems to be up their alley, then why not? I know there was a rumor of a Bethesda Game Studios game being developed for space, and it was going to be coming out in 2017, but apparently it was actually a published game. But who knows, quite honestly. We'll see down the line. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. Hit me with your thoughts on this in the comments down below. As always, be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Links are in the description. Other than that, be sure to check out sugarbomb.com, the place by Bethesda fans for Bethesda fans. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.